Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we understand how important the governor's race is, and maybe, just maybe, Governor Spalding has given Republican candidates some hope and opportunity here by overplaying his hand on his COVIDian policies, as we see the chaos that has ensued over the last several days, and his digging in without any indication of how, if ever, he intends to dig out. Real opportunity for Republican candidates for governor and for Republican legislative candidates if they can avoid succumbing to their fear of their own shadows. We'll see. In our continuing series of bringing you some of the important candidates in these important races, we are now joined by Kathleen Murphy, who is running with Jesse Sullivan. She has recently been announced as his running mate. You know, the governor has to have a lieutenant governor. We've talked to Darren Bailey and his running mate, and I'm sure we'll get to others as well. Jesse Sullivan is the downstater we've spoken with once on this program, a newcomer to Illinois politics, big California billionaire backing that has him as a potential contender in this race, which is still months away from shaking out. Kathleen Murphy, longtime aide to Jeannie Ives and co-founder of Breakthrough Ideas, which you hear on our program, the Jeannie Ives commentaries and the work they do with advocacy, policy advocacy work around Chicagoland and throughout Illinois, Jeannie Ives and Kathleen Murphy. She's leaving to do this, obviously. Kathleen Murphy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, why run why run for lieutenant governor, number one, and why run with Jesse Sullivan?
Yeah, no problem. So, first of all, I'm a mom of two. I've spent the last 10 years working with reform-minded candidates and legislators, as you know, in Illinois. In founding Breakthrough Ideas, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people who have never been involved before, parents, students, teachers, business owners who are just so frustrated with a variety of Governor Pritzker's decisions and mandates and his, unilateral control of the whole state that's shut down their businesses, overrode local school districts with regard to COVID mitigations. And so for the past year, I've worked with them, and I've been frustrated along with them, and I've sat in board meetings with them and just experienced the apathy of local leaders who could have stood up but didn't, because it's easier to defer to somebody else. So when Jesse asked me to run, I knew that it was an opportunity to give a voice to all of the people that I had worked with for the past year, who are terrific people who have felt shut out and ignored. And so I felt like if I didn't take it, I would be doing exactly what I was frustrated with over the past 2 years. And why Jesse? Well, there's a couple of reasons. He's got, first of all, a record of accomplishing things in really adverse circumstances. So, for example, he has helped people to build businesses all over the world, including places like Haiti and Cuba. So I think if he can figure out how to create jobs in those environments, he can certainly rebuild and create jobs in Illinois. As a civilian intelligence analyst in Afghanistan, he advised the Brigadier General on how to combat green blue attacks, where the Afghan local police forces were attacking Americans who were training them. So if he can figure out, how to protect troops in literal war zones, he can figure out how to protect our police and our communities here at home. And then also, I spent the last year working with parents on issues that arose during COVID. A lot of them are really smart, industrious people, but they just haven't ever considered themselves political before, until Pritzker, of course, came for their kids or their business or whatever, and they jumped into the fray like just warriors. And so these are people that are not necessarily Republicans. Some of them are, but they're definitely people we should be trying to win over as a party. I think Jesse matches that energy. He looked around and said, I have to do something about this. He saw what was going on in the state. So
on the COVID thing, yeah. I know where you are on these mandates, because you and Jeannie have been at Wheaton, Warrenville South school board meetings, and you've been combating these mask mandates and other COVIDian excesses. But where's Jesse? Has he weighed in on the Sangamon County judge's decision? Has he taken a position on these COVID mandates?
Yep, he actually was one of the first statements out on that after the judge brought her ruling down. So he did weigh in that, this ruling should be upheld, and Governor Pritzker is obviously appealing it, but he wants children to be able to go to school en masse. He's a father of 5 kids himself, 5 little kids. So, he understands what has been done is wrong, and parents should have a much bigger voice in their kids' education than they've had the past 2 years.
And Kathleen, does Jesse Sullivan, does he live in Illinois? Because I've had so many people asking, but
Yep,
isn't he from San Francisco?
Yep. No, he's in Petersburg, Illinois. He has his wife and his family's there. The California thing, he went to school there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, this is just politics. These are the people who, brought you Bruce Rauner, who are just trying to stay in control and pick your, Republican most likely to be a Democrat to be the next nominee and, run against Pritzker. So that's all that is. But yeah.
Well, yeah,
that's in Petersburg.
If he doesn't live in Illinois, well, that should be easy to prove in a petition challenge for those people that are suggesting he doesn't live in Illinois. I mean, some of the snarkiness and the rumor mongering is so silly. It's not even
I know
good.
They could just Google it.
Silly is the perfect word.
It's just
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
right?
They're just so bad at their job. So many of these Republican operative types, they're just so bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so but so you're conservative. Again, you're a longtime affiliated with Jeannie Ives, conservative, and I know Jesse's presenting himself as a conservative reformer. We don't know because he doesn't have a record here.
Right.
Darren Bailey does. Gary Rabine does. Why Jesse over? Gary Rabine doesn't legislatively, but in terms of being involved in Republican Party politics and Trump and all that. So why Jesse and not Rabine or Bailey?
Well, first of all, I think, like I mentioned, these families who are new to politics, they're just not going to get excited about some former state senators or, Republican Party funders or, the hand-picked establishment, mayor. It's just not. I think that there's a new energy, and as a young dad who's gone out in the world and applied his abilities to make a difference in other people's lives, that's really where a lot of the people that I've worked with in the last year are. And I think he certainly is a conservative. He certainly, sees the fiscal problems. He wants to take on crime. We have rising crime rates. It has to be taken on. It's not just Chicago anymore. Rockford, Champaign, increased carjackings, attempted home invasions in Hinsdale, a shooting in Oakbrook over Christmas. Mm-hmm. So that's all a top priority for him. So he aligns on issues everywhere I am, and I look forward to him getting to know Republicans across the state and showing them, how he does align with their interests too, but also these people who are new, who we have an opportunity with, who somebody who is kind of where they are and in terms of getting into the fight. I think that he'll resonate with that.
Now, Kathleen, you're normally helping candidates. Now you are a candidate.
Yeah.
Who's helping you?
So still adjusting, but I'm really lucky that I have support from people who I have worked with in the past who have just said, hey, whatever you need, if I can give you advice, or Jeannie's supportive of jumping in, and that's all wonderful. And then we have a great team on the campaign. So I've been getting to know them and working with them over the past. It's literally 4 days, 5 days now. So, but they've been terrific and just there every time I've had to answer a question, it's a very different experience, but it's, I'm getting used to it. So.
And what's the role going to be? Did you discuss with Jesse and his team the role for a lieutenant governor, both politically and maybe policy-wise, and how you all are going to work together, both as co-campaigners as well as potentially co-executives?
Yes. So I think that the main role in the campaign will be as a proxy, sort of a diplomatic communications role. I have talked to him about policies that I think are important, that would like to advance, and that I think there's an opportunity for him as governor to really make a difference, especially coming off the Pritzker administration. And he's very willing to hear that. For example, sure, we can use the EO to the executive order. The governor's office is very powerful. So day one, do what they did in Virginia, use the executive order to undo the mandates, and make sure that make sure that no governor can ever declare a state of emergency via executive order for 23 months ever again. So I would advocate for legislation then like Dan Ugasti's bill. He's filed, it requires that after the initial extensions, the governor has to get approval from the legislature to extend his emergency order. And then on the education front, I think parents have to have more power in education. I think Jesse really agrees with me on that. Over the past 2 years, we've seen the push from bureaucrats and the governor to keep parents out of decisions in school. So I think that means, if not full school choice, certainly extending the Opportunity Scholarship Program. And then, of course, we have to make Illinois safe. Like I mentioned, violent crime it's out of control. And when people are disempowered, when crime runs rampant. So, I mean, overarchingly, I would say it's just returning power back to the working men, women, moms, and dads of Illinois from this corrupt government. And so that's always been my interest. That is Jesse's interest too. And so I'm used to working with people in a variety of ways because I've been doing this for the past 10 years as behind the scenes, as you mentioned. And so I think that it can be really effective in his administration.
She is Kathleen Murphy. It's, great ballot names on the ticket. Sullivan Murphy. It doesn't get better than that for
Sounds like a Chicago bar.
Yeah, right.
Patrick's Day fundraiser is what we were saying. Yeah.
There you go. All right. JesseSullivan.com is where you find information about his candidacy and Kathleen's. They're running together. Jesse Sullivan, the governor candidate, his lieutenant governor candidate, Kathleen Murphy. Kathleen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much